So why do I do it differently than you do it?
Well, I'm more impressed by what we all have in common as a species than in what makes people different. I think we do have an inkling as to what makes people different. One factor is surely genetics. That is, we aren't clones other than identical twins, and we each start out life with a slightly different complement of genes, which biases the brain in different ways. And we know this from studies of people who do or don't share genes or an environment. Identical twins reared apart, for example, who share their genes but not their environment, and who turn out to be strikingly similar, tell us that genes matter. So do adopted siblings brought up in the same household who don't share their variable genes but do share an environment, and they grow up not particularly alike, other than what they share from the culture. So one thing that makes us different is our genes. Another thing is the different cultures that we may have grown up in. We're similar not just because we're human beings, but because we both grew up in North America and were surrounded by American middle-class values. There's also sheer chance. Even if we were identical twins, we would not end up indistinguishable. And anyone who knows identical twins knows that this is true. They're very similar in their talents and in their temperaments, but you don't confuse them if you know them. And they'll often go their separate ways. Sometimes one will even be gay and another one will be straight, even though they share both their genes and their environment. So what that tells us is that sheer chance makes a difference, that some factor that we have no idea of how to measure, maybe how your neurons grew as your brain congealed in utero, maybe chance events that took place that to one twin but not another twin. There's a huge role of chance that we don't really understand, and it's kind of another factor that makes us what we are, makes us different, but people don't really understand how it works.
Is it too simple to say it's a nature versus nurture argument?
Yeah, I think it is, because it's not nature versus nurture. If we didn't have a nature that allowed us to see the world in certain ways and learn in certain ways, then nurture would have no effect. I mean, you put a child in a family and you put a cat in a family, the child ends up talking, the cat doesn't. Now, the child had to learn to talk. No child is born speaking English, but the exposure to English only resulted in an ability to speak because the child's brain is wired in certain ways that the cat's brain isn't. So it's never nature versus nurture. It's nature makes the effects of nurture possible.